Good morning. Good morning. So, like I said, our pastors are out, not just out of town, but they are out of state, and they are visiting with their children, which is awesome. And so, I am almost Pastor Eric, for those of you who don't know me. I'm here this morning, and Pastor asked me, he said, "Hey, we're going to be gone. Can you give a message?" And I was like, "Sure. Anything you say, because I got it, right?" Whoa. And so, anyways, I don't know about you guys, but I'm like super nervous. And I don't know if it's because my mom is here, but it's just making me extra nervous. But like this whole morning, I was just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And my wife can attest to that. But this morning, I have a pretty, I think it's kind of interesting, an interesting message this morning. And it's called Practice Makes ... Right? And so, in life, there's always a first time for something, right? Since the day that we are born, there's always a first time for doing something, right? We're newbies, right? Or noobs, as the young people like to call us. From the time that we are born, the first time we ever get to try to walk, crawl, right? Run, ride a bike. Anything that we try to do, we're always trying it for the first time. And so we are new at it. We've never done it before. And so we begin to do these things in life to move forward, right? And so as we grow up and get older, we begin to try new things that we've become interested in, like sports, instruments, right? Singing. There's things in our life that we become drawn to, and we want to do those things. And so what do? We start to practice it, right? We start to practice them. You know, you're interested in baseball. You want to be a baseball player, so you start to practice how to catch, how to throw, how to swing a bat. You know, you become interested in basketball. You learn how to shoot hoops, dribble. You know, it's always funny. I love watching like little kids play basketball. You ever watch little kids? They grab the ball and they just run with it. And you're like, no, that's traveling. That's traveling, and they run all the way up to the hoop and they throw it in and it goes in. They're like, yeah. I'm like, no, bro, that don't count. You were traveling. You took like 20 travels. That don't count, man. I don't think so. Not in my book. But it's awesome. It's funny watching kids learn how to play basketball, and then they have to learn to dribble. And not just dribble, but they have to learn how to control that ball, right? And so they begin to practice and practice and practice until they start getting better, right? I'm gonna pick on Pablo this morning because I'm in charge of the youth ministries, and there's like this unwritten rule: when you're in charge of the youth ministries, you get to pick on your students. And I'm gonna pick on Pablo this morning because for those of you who don't know, Pablo is amazing playing instruments. How many instruments do you know how to play? Five? Maybe a little more? Five-ish? Give or take, mostly give, right? Like 7, 8? 8 instruments. 8 instruments. This guy is awesome. And let me give you a little insight of how awesome this guy is. We'll be practicing some songs on a Thursday night worship, and I'm the type of person that, like, if I can't play through the chord progressions comfortably, I'll look for, like, I'll transpose it and I'll capo to where it's more comfortable for me. And the hardest part about that is that when you capo a song, the chords aren't exactly the same. They're not going to sound the same. And so Pablo has this sheet in front of him, and it says a G, but I'm capoed, so it's really like maybe like an E or something. But he can hear it, and then he goes, oh yeah, you're playing this. Oh yeah, you're playing this. Oh, and then he'll make his adjustments. And I'm like, dude, how do you do that? I can't do that. And so he is awesome. How long have you been playing? Since 3rd grade? So that's like 7 years? About 7 years? About 7 years he's been playing. And he is amazing at what he does. He is awesome. And so in order for Pablo to get to where he's at now, he had to practice, right? He had to practice at each of these instruments. Not just practice, but he had to listen. He had to figure things out. And so we practice, and we practice, and we practice. And practice makes what? Practice makes perfect, right? I've even in some instances I've heard practice makes improvement. So let's go on, shall we? We practice and practice and practice, hoping to get better. We want to practice what we're going to do so that way we can get better. So we practice. Practice makes perfect. Practice makes improvement. If you keep practicing and practicing, you're going to get better at it. See, but what happens if we're not practicing correctly? If I wanted to be a baseball player, and I'm like, all right, I got to practice, and I start swinging my bat, and I start swinging at the ball like this, and I'm just like, all right, the ball's coming, and I start swinging like this. Do you think I'll get better? No, right? So do you think if I keep practicing like this, and I keep practicing like this, and swinging the bat like this at the ball, do you think I'm going to get perfect at it? No, right? So let's just squash that idea. Practice makes perfect. We're gonna debunk this right now. Okay, if I'm learning how to play basketball, and I'm grabbing that ball like the little kids, and I'm just running around the court, and I'm just like, this is my ball. You can't have it. This is mine. Do you think I'm gonna get better? I'm gonna keep getting called, right? I'm gonna keep getting called on fouls. If I'm trying to be a quarterback, and I get the ball and I start throwing it like that to people, catch it, just catch it. You're fine. I'm not gonna get any better, right? So why do we always say practice makes perfect? Why in some cases we've heard practice makes improvement? It all depends on how we practice, correct? When I was in Master's Commission, I was down in LA, and I was under our director, Ramon Merchant, awesome Master's Commission director. And his big thing was doing human videos, right? If you don't know what a human video is, you have music on, you're doing movements, and you're telling a story to the song with your movements, and you're kind of like acting stuff out, right? And so one of the biggest things is that we would go and we would do services at other churches, and we would do these things called tours, where we'd go from church to church, we'd do services, and partly to help like recruit more people to our program, and then also help to get funds in for our program. Create friendships, create bonds, and then do more stuff with that church later down the road, right? And so we would practice human videos like every day, right? Especially if we had a tour coming up. And there would be times, I'm not going to lie, but there would be times where I'm doing a human video and I'm just like, I already know how to do this. Okay, then I come over here, and then I catch the rope, and then I pull it, and then I do this thing, and I come over here. And I'm listening to the song, and I'm just kind of just whatever, going through the motions, right? And he would stop the song, and he'd go, do it again. What? Fine. And I'd go back, and he'd play the song, and then okay, I throw the rope up and over. I come over here, I catch it, okay, I tie it, blah, blah, blah. And then he'd stop the song. I'm like, dude. And he goes, do it again. And we would do this a few times. And he goes, you know this song, right? I go, yes. And he goes, you know the movements? And I go, yes. And he goes, so when you're there and you're performing this, is that how you're going to do it? Blah, 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 blah. I go, well, no. He goes, but if you practice it like this enough times, guess what's going to happen? It's going to become permanent in your movements. And he would tell us, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. Let me say that again. Practice makes permanent. Whatever you do in your practice time, whatever you do away from your performance, it's going to stick. And so when you get there and you're getting ready to do something, in your head, all you're going to think is, okay, I grab the rope, I throw it over like this, and that's how you're going to end up doing it. He says practice makes permanent. Even in your practice time, you have to go for it 100%. You have to go for it as if the audience is in front of you. And so what does this mean for our walk with Christ? What does this mean for our relationship with Christ? Luke 12:2-3 tells us, there is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known. What you have said in the dark will be heard in the daylight, and what you have whispered in the ear in the inner rooms will be proclaimed from the roofs. See, this scripture wasn't meant as a threat. It wasn't meant to be like, if you keep doing this, I'm going to expose you. See, this is the red letter. This is Jesus talking, right? And he is telling his disciples this as a warning. Okay, he's not out there trying to twist people's arms and say, keep going, I'm going to tell everyone your business. No. See, what we practice in our personal lives is going to be made permanent everywhere we go. If I'm at work and I'm talking and I'm chatting it up with my friends and I'm just cursing and I'm just doing just like they do and I'm laughing it up and I'm saying, guess what's going to happen? When I come here, guess what's going to start slipping out? And not just here, but if I'm trying to minister to someone, guess what's going to slip out? Everyone's going to look at me and be like, you're supposed to be this person of faith, yet you're talking and acting like this. See, I could try to hold it back. I could do the best I can. But guess what? Eventually, it's going to slip out. Why? Because practice makes permanent. And you might say, well, as long as I act right at the church, I'll be fine with whatever I do outside the church. See, there used to be a term in sports called off-season. And any athlete, any true athlete out there will tell you there is no such thing as an off-season. You don't just train when the season is going. You don't just work at improving yourself when the season is going. But you train even in your off-season. See, there are some athletes that'll be like, oh, I don't need to train, it's off-season. I can do whatever I want now, it's off-season. I'm okay. But there's no such thing as an off-season. See, the Bible tells us in 2 Timothy 4:2 to be prepared in season and out of season. We must always constantly keep ourselves prepared. See, I used to live in Southern California during that time that I was in master's commission. And I was looking for jobs here and there, and I found this, what I feel to be one of the best jobs I've ever had. But I used to drive cars at an auto auction. And it was actually really cool. You show up early in the morning, like super early. You get into groups, they split you up, and then they tell you, okay, you're going to be out of lot A, you're out of lot B, you're out of lot C, you're out of lot D. And then you go to your lots, you get in your cars, you drive them through the auctions, people are bidding on them, they tell you to stop, bid, and then they tell you to go. That quick. And then you drive it back to your lot, park it, jump in the next car, and you just keep going. I feel like one of the best jobs. There's some awesome cars I've driven that I'll probably never, ever drive in my life. But then there was also some like beat up old beaters that you're like, oh my gosh, what is that smell? can I get a plastic bag? I don't want to sit on this seat. Can he? And it was cool, but before all that would happen, we would all be in groups. People would talk, people would be joking about stuff, laughing, this, that, the other, and we'd all just be conversating. And there was a group of people that we all usually sat at the same table every morning, and we would all talk, and we would all share stuff. Hey, what's going on? Hey, how was your week going? What did you do this weekend? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I remember it was about a few months in, and we were getting ready to all get up. We were all getting ready to go to our groups. And this girl turns to me, and she goes, hey, there's something different about you. And I was like, what do you mean? And she goes, you're not like the rest of us. There's something different about you, and I can't put my finger on it, but you're not like the rest of us. You don't talk like us. You don't say the things we say. You don't talk about the things we talk about. Like, you talk about, like, completely different things. And it's weird. And I don't know what it is. And for weeks, I've been trying to figure it out. But I haven't been able to put my finger on it. And then she stops, and she goes, you go to church, don't you? I said, actually, as a matter of fact, I do. She goes, I knew it. I knew it was something. And then she goes, you're at church, so like, but you're not at church anymore, so I mean, who cares, right? And I was like, but it's not about that. I need to keep myself pure. I need to keep my composure whether I'm at church or not. And she was like, that's pretty cool. She goes, I like that. She said, honestly, she goes, I've met people who claimed that they were Christians, but then I seen how they really were at parties. I seen how they really were out in the real world. She goes, that's actually kind of cool. I like that. And then that was it. We went our separate ways, and then I never saw that person again. Now, I don't know where this person is at today, but hopefully I had planted some sort of a seed that caused her to look into a relationship with Christ. See, there's no such thing as an off season. There's no such thing as, well, I'm not at church, so I can kind of act the way I want. Because people are always watching. People are always seeing what you do. They want to know how real you are. And so we have to watch ourselves as we are out there in the world. So what does that mean for us? What does that mean in our lives? That means we need to watch how we practice outside of the church. We need to watch what we say, what we do, how we do things, how we act. And you may be saying, well, I mean, I've been doing this for so long. Well, how do I fix my poor practice? How do I fix this and make things better for my life? See, if I'm in baseball and I'm trying to fix this type of a swing, who would I need to look towards? Who would be able to help me with a swing like this and tell me I'm doing it wrong and correct and adjust me? A coach, right? A batting coach. Same thing with basketball. If I'm just running around with the ball like this, coach is going to be like, hey, no, you can't do that. Do it more like this. Right? Pablo, did you ever just grab an instrument and just go with it? Just go for it, and all of a sudden you were amazing? No, right? You had somebody to teach you? Huh? Most of the time? Sometimes you taught yourself, which is awesome. If you can do that, that's amazing. Sometimes you got to have an instructor, right? Conductor, someone that knew about music to help you. See, the reason why Pablo can just kind of pick up and just listen to something and be like, oh yeah, I know that. Boom, 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 boom. There was even a song that we were listening to that had a solo part. And for solo parts, it's kind of hard to try to find the tabs for those. He was listening to it and he was like, oh yeah, it's this. I don't know how it was, but he just picked it right up. Why was he able to do that? Because he practiced the correct way. He put in the effort to practice correctly. He had people behind him, right? Proverbs 19:20 says, get all the advice and instruction you can, so you'll be wise the rest of your life. Proverbs 11:14 says, for lack of guidance, a nation falls. But victory is won through many advisors. Proverbs is pretty wise. If you're looking for wisdom, read Proverbs. Go through the book of Proverbs. I promise it's going to help you out. But see, it tells us here to seek instructions, seek guidance, look towards advisors. Surround yourself with people who are going to encourage you, uplift you, pour out things into your life that are only going to make you better. We have lots of people around us to help us with that. We have pastors. We have associates, deacons. We have a prayer team. We have fellow brothers and sisters, fellow believers. And it doesn't have to be believers from your own church. Sometimes it's believers from other churches that you connect with that are going to lift you up. Pray with each other. Hey, I'm dealing with this. I'm struggling with this. Can you help me? We need to surround ourselves with many wise advisors to fix our poor practices, to fix things the way that we are. Whether you're new or you've been in this for quite some time, it's time to surround ourselves with those who are going to build us up. See, this message wasn't about you're a sinner and you're going to hell. This message wasn't about hellfire, brimstone, you better fix yourself now or you're going to hell. No, this message was about let's fix ourselves today to give us a better tomorrow. Let's fix our practices now to make it permanent in our future. Amen? If you don't have somebody that you can confide in, if you don't have somebody that you can trust in that way, I challenge you to look for someone. Someone that you can trust and pray with. That you can confide in. That's not going to tell you, well, it doesn't matter. Who cares as long as you act right in church? No, but somebody that's going to constantly point you towards God. Practice makes what? Permanent. Practice makes permanent. Let's pray. Father, I thank you so much for this message. God, and I thank you for giving us the opportunity to get back on track with you. Giving us the opportunity to get right with you. and live a life that is pleasing and edifying to you. And Father, I lift up those who are listening to this message. I lift up those who are here in person, those who are listening online. God, whether they're listening today or whether they're listening days, weeks, months from now. Father, I pray that you will open their hearts, show them the areas of their life that they need a coach in, the areas of their life that they need instruction, that they need guidance and advisor. God, and allow them to have the boldness to reach out to someone, anyone, that is going to lead them back to you, that's going to help adjust their lives and bring it back to you. So, Father, I pray that you will be with us this morning. Father, I pray that you will just continue to love on us, continue to be by our side, and remind us that you are here. In Jesus' mighty name.